I was 19, about to turn 20, when my sister Debbie died. She was 30. I'm from a mixed family, so both parents came in with kids, so there's a good 19-year difference from the oldest to the youngest. So, the closest child to Debbie was my younger brother, who was born when she was 18. And they had a very much mother and child type relationship. And honestly, that's what bonded her to my mother. Her stepmother was that relationship. So when Debbie died, Kenneth fell apart. And I was barely holding on myself because she was my second mother. And so I'm working on my bachelor's degree in fine art. I'd gotten a paralegal degree as my parents had requested, and I moved to a 4-year college to become an artist. And an assignment in this advanced painting class was to find a picture that meant something to you and to paint it and bring it in for critique. I brought it in for critique, and the teacher ripped me a new one. It was a picture of my sister Debbie holding my brother Kenneth, kind of in the way that my father is holding Kenneth here in this picture. I can't find the original photo. I'll have to do some digging to get it. Not what the teacher saw. He didn't see my pain of me missing my sister and mourning for both my brother and myself. He saw an iconic, or a blasphemous version of the iconic Madonna and Child. And he wanted to know who I thought I was, to mimic such an important painting. That I was blasphemous, I was disrespectful, I was too big for my britches, the whole deal. I was stunned and honestly at a loss for words and stormed out of the classroom. And 2 days later, I stormed back into the classroom with the painting and the photograph. It was critique time. I put the painting back up. I put the photograph next to it. And I said, "This is my sister Debbie. She died last year. This is my brother Kenneth. He is in middle school. And he is not okay. I am barely okay. This picture is a very good representation. This painting is a very good representation of this photograph. I wasn't even thinking Madonna and Child when I painted it. And I stood there and I waited for a proper critique. I got an A. Other students praised my bravery. And he did get a little dig in, though, and he said that I need to be more aware of art history and how my paintings can be misconstrued as classic paintings that I don't have the skill to pull off. And why is this important? Scrolling across my Facebook feed all week, everyone's talking about Kendrick Lamar, and everyone's talking about, the whole show being over people's heads, or people having the audacity to think that the show is over people's heads, right? And they're interpreting the art through their own lens, just like that teacher interpreted my art through his own lens, and never seeing my personal story behind it. And honestly, that's kind of what art is about, right? You create it and you put it up and you wait for people's response, and it may invoke confusion, it may invoke anger, it may invoke righteous indignation, right? It may invoke compassion. But normally, as happened in my case, was pretty textbook. It invoked a strong reaction on all of our parts. And I had to gather myself and come back and represent it. And then explain my motivation for people to calm the heck down. And so, off of Facebook, onto LinkedIn, one person commented, "This belongs on Facebook." And he was right. And I'll tell you why. Because we are currently living in a post affirmative action world. We're living in a post DEI world. A world where corporations are no longer asked to look at a person's skin to determine what their roles in their corporation are going to be. When actually that was never the case. They were being asked to look past the skin. The point was bring in more non-minorities, bring in more minorities to interview so you can see then past their skin and see their qualifications. So we are no longer being required to look at anyone's skin so that we can then see past their skin. We are supposed to be in a post-racial society, but I promise you we're going into a period of extreme nepotism. That said, this conversation became pretty interesting on LinkedIn, in the world of business, in the world of resumes. And so a person's going to say, "Here's how I feel about this thing." And you're like, "That's wild." Click, click. Interesting resume. Interesting. This is, okay, this tracks. This tracks with who they are. This tracks with them being very law and order. This doesn't track at all. They're a pastor and they're saying that they couldn't understand the words of his mouth. That's a little racially dog whistly. Because Kendrick Lamar is one of the most eloquent rappers there. I mean, yeah, he plays with pronunciation of words to force the rhyme, but he pronounces everything incredibly crisply. So that's a little wild, right? And so here's my thought. My thought is, yeah, go ahead and have these conversations and attach them to your businesses if that's what you want to do. But when I decide what companies I'm hiring to do marketing, I'm going to see these things and go, oh, this person can't see beyond their particular worldview. And so there's no way that they can see mine or my clients' worldviews appropriately, right? Or this person says they're this master marketer, but they didn't understand the marketing or the messaging in this rap. So they may just all be a lot of pretty words on a page. So at this point, in this post-DEI, post-affirmative action world, we are looking at how you interact, and we are looking at how you speak to each other, and we're looking for your character and your words. And that's how we're hiring. That's who we're deciding to collaborate with. That's who we're working with. My business partner and I have an idea for a video that's going to be on our Cheese Press channel. And so we're of the opinion that in a post-DEI world, we should be changing the way that we hire. And if you look at history, when dynasties or countries made vast improvements in infrastructure, It was because they had implemented testing. Wouldn't it be fun if everyone had to test into their job? Wouldn't there be a lot of surprises there? And I'm talking blind test. You don't get to see their face. You don't get to see their name. You just get test scores and you hire. We'll talk about that later.